Reporter Ekokobe Remy Carol.
In the far north region, obstetric fistula and orofacial cleft happen to be a serious public health problem faced by women and girls. It is on this issue that the French embassy, represented by the French ambassador and his companions, paid a visit to the Maroua Regional Hospital.
This is my second visit to this hospital, and I came with a very specific topic. The idea is to support the activities of this hospital that relates to fistule obstetrical, and in this regard, women are stigmatized.
During the visit, the director of the hospital gave the ambassador and companion a tour. They discussed on issues concerning these illnesses as the French offered to extend a helping hand so as to better the lives of the victims and fight against discrimination amongst women suffering from it. An offer which the Director General appreciates.
We are happy today to see that the ambassador come himself to witness what is our capacity of taking care of those type of patients, and we are very grateful. We think this will make more than one lady, more than one child to benefit and to have confidence in life.
Obstetric fistula is one of the most serious and dangerous injuries that can occur during childbirth. Women who suffer from it are often condemned to depression, social isolation, and deepening poverty. So, the visit is also to ensure the well-being of Cameroonian women.
Away from health, we now look at the Cameroon media landscape as policies and measures to ensure a free but especially an economically viable media world in Cameroon has come under discussion in a press launch in Yaoundé today. The event, organized by the National Communication Council (NCC), brought together authorities from both private and public media organs in the country to exchange ideas on how to revamp the media landscape in Cameroon. Let's get more of this with Ate Bonaventure, who was at the event.
The challenges of the press in Cameroon keep increasing as years go by. Unethical practices have evaded the milieu, while credible media outfits who have stood the test of time can no longer make ends meet because of uneven competition. It is against this backdrop that the Cameroon Communication Council organized this press launch.
It was a consultation organized so that the media can examine themselves and tell us what is wrong and how they can improve on their situation, especially economically. We've talked about the enterprise. We've talked about other issues.
The exchanges between media professionals and the NCC centered on the problem of economic viability of the press in Cameroon, state aid to the private media, and comparative elements with other African countries.
Our intention as a regulatory or a consultative body is for us to carry this information to the authorities that be, so that if something has to be done, let it be done. That is our role, and we have performed it. And I think I am satisfied.
The different speakers took turns to highlight some setbacks of the National Communication Council and propose solutions to problems plaguing the Cameroonian press in terms of content and visibility.
Now in the littoral region, we see that the Douala City Council authorities have been evaluating their works, but equally their accomplishments and shortcomings within the town, an evaluation that proves or reflects that they still have much to do to meet up with the expectations of Douala City dwellers. The evaluation was made public in a press conference held on Tuesday, February 1st, led by the city mayor, Dr. Roger Mbassadini, following a visit in some renowned companies of the town contributing to its development. Regarding COVID-19 management, local development, street lighting and public transport, as well as the fight against urban disorder, the Douala City Mayor and his team say they are satisfied with the accomplishments this far, especially with urban disorder. However, the men and women of the press didn't hold back from reminding them of their shortcomings in the management of traffic circulation, notably at the famous Ndokoti roundabout, as well as in the management of waste materials within Cameroon's economic capital. Still in the littoral region, this time around in the Mungo division, the Minister of Small and Medium-Sized Enterprises, Achille Basilikin III, has visited Nkongsamba yesterday, Tuesday, and notably to sign a partnership agreement between the state and the private sector of economy, upheld by the Lonako Valley Authority. It serves as a symbol of government participation in ensuring collaboration between both parties. It also comes within the framework of the support of the government in the promotion of entrepreneurial culture and construction of an environment to guarantee youth employment. At the Nolako Valley Authority Institute, Mr. Basilikin emphasized on the commitment of the Ministry of Small and Medium-Sized Enterprises to ensure a smooth follow-up of their training and socio-professional insertion as youth of Cameroon. He emphasizes that in the following excerpt, gotten by our correspondent in the Mungo division, Frank Lionel Difo. Let's listen.
The ministry is going to accompany them in order to ensure that students graduating from this incubator are not only well technically trained, but can also get access to the various programs from our ministry. And beyond the technical assistance, that they will be certainly also provided the necessary financing facilities through the various programs lodged in our ministry. And I am quite happy to have come here to see precisely what is being done in the Lonako Valley Authority, and at the same time also encourage the promoter of this wonderful initiative. I believe that we are at a very important juncture in terms of implementing the National Development Strategy under the auspices of the Prime Minister, Head of Government, in implementing the vision of the Head of State, His Excellency Paul Biya.
The Minister of Small and Medium-Sized Enterprises there equally emphasized on the importance of such partnerships to ensure that Cameroon reaches its emergence goals in the years ahead. He mentions this while giving his overall impressions at the end of the visit. Let's listen.
My impression is that these young people and the promoter are on the right track. And I believe that through the agreement that was signed today, we will continue developing these synergies to ensure that what is being developed here can also impact not only the Mungo Valley, but also the entire Cameroon in such a way that promoters of incubators will just take this as an example of what they should do and how also, if they reach the level of standards that the government is expecting, how they will be assisted in facilitating this process. What is being developed here in this valley is just an indication of where we are heading to, and at the same time also what, in terms of public and private partnership, we should do to implement the possibility of Cameroon becoming an emerging country by 2035 as earmarked by the Head of State.
And now in sports, as we had on our headlines, Bulgarian national Inavov Boris Lay has emerged winner of the 5th lap of the International Cameroon Cycling Tour in Douala this Wednesday, June the 2nd. Though he emerged first, he however failed to grab the yellow jersey, which is still held by French national Lionel Alexandre. Mange Venasius tells us more in the following report.
A total of 109.6 kilometers of the Cameroon International Cycling Tour in its 5th stage kicked off Wednesday morning, the 2nd of June 2021, in a ceremony presided at by Governor Samuel Dieudonné Ivahad-Diboua, accompanied by the mayor for Douala 3 subdivision and officials of the Cameroon Cycling Federation. With a total of 56 cyclists, they covered the distance in 8 rounds of 13 kilometers each. After 2 hours, 17 minutes, 6 seconds, Ivana Borisleye from Bulgaria national team singled himself out of the mass, 40 seconds ahead of Burkinabe Iboldo Haruna and Cameroonian Tela Artus. Ivanov Borislav acknowledged the prowess of other riders but says he seized the opportunity at the right moment to break loose and maintain the leading position.
Actually, we had a rider, but he punctured in the very decisive moment, so I had to attack. I was on my limit and I didn't know whether I would be successful. But the Dutch rider is weak on the climb, so I tried many times on the steep hills on the opposite side of the lap, and finally I managed to escape just a couple of meters.
The general classification of this stage placed Lionel Alexandre from Matic Sport de France, who totaled 14 hours, 12 minutes, 25 seconds to earn the yellow jersey, and Rev Yaden arriving same time like the yellow jersey with Kamzong Abosolo Clovis of Cameroon, coming 2 seconds after the yellow jersey. The tour continues with the longest stage 6, Douala Kribi, with 10 teams in the list.
And now on to foreign news stories with which we round up tonight's edition of the news. The African Union has suspended Mali's membership from the organization and threatened sanctions at the wake of an armed coup d'etat. Also, Chad and Central African Republic have agreed to jointly carry out investigations regarding 6 soldiers of Chad who were killed at the borders recently. Let us get more of this with Rogeyatu Buba.
The African Union has suspended the membership of Mali from the organization and warned about possible sanctions in the wake of an armed coup. Mali's second coup was led by its vice president, Colonel Assimi Goïta, who was named transitional president. Goïta removed President Ba Dao and Prime Minister Mukhtar Ouane from office after accusing them of breaking transitional rules. The African Union's decision comes a few days after the Economic Community of West African States also announced the suspension of Mali from its institution. The African Union called for the military to urgently and unconditionally return to the barracks and to refrain from further interference in the political processes in Mali. Goïta last August led army officers who overthrew elected President Ibrahim Boubacar Keïta following mass protests over perceived corruption and a bloody jihadist insurgency. The United States and Mali's former colonial master, France, had both threatened sanctions in response to the second coup, with the military going back on its previous commitment to civilian political leaders. Doubts have been raised about its other promises, including a promise to hold elections in early 2022. The worry here remains if the action taken by the African Union and ECOWAS will affect Mali positively or negatively. An attack that killed 6 Chadian soldiers at a border post with the Central African Republic will be jointly investigated by the two countries after a high-level meeting appeared to ease tensions. Chad has blamed the Central African Republic for the attack and says 5 of the soldiers were abducted then executed, which is labeled a war crime that will not go unpunished. At the meeting between the two states' foreign ministers, Central African Republic on its part, after expressing surprise at the attack, firmly condemned it and expressed its profound sympathy to the government and the people of Chad. The two parties underlined the urgency of clarifying the circumstances in which this attack took place and agreed to set up an independent international commission of inquiry. The two sides also agreed to work together to strengthen security along the border. The incident has placed the spotlight on the occasionally fraught relations between Chad, ruled by a junta that took power just 6 weeks ago, and the Central African Republic, an unstable country battling powerful armed groups.
That's the end of the news for today on DBS Television with me, Cynthia Wemo. Thank you for watching. See you tomorrow for the second to the last edition of the week. Until then, good night.